Whoop, this hat is getting kind of old. Anyways, hello everybody. Hello to some of the Kent Hovind fans, trolls, haters, evolutionists, atheists. I don't know. I just noticed since I made a video about visiting Dinosaur Adventureland, just for myself, my audience, my friends, those that have known me and those that have known Kent Hovind for years, like I have, known of his information, stuff like that. I got this huge response, from all these new people that know Kent Hovind recently, and comments, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. Let's check out their channels and check out some of the debates. I haven't watched Kent's debates. I've seen all of those old ones, from the VHS tapes, and then just kind of like accepted some of the stuff and I liked it. And then, a bunch of years went by and Kent stopped traveling to the churches, and we didn't see him, and, he had the bad publicity. We could get into that later too, what I think about that, and maybe some of you will like my take on it. Just an average guy, car guy. I like to touch other guys' Ferraris, and while I'm waiting to deliver this load, I was watching some of the comments on the internet, on YouTube, on my channel from some of you guys, and I was like, I should probably address some of this, while I have some time off. So we got a 488 challenge on the set, huh? How do you like that, huh? We'll call this one Kent, and then this one we'll call Hovind, huh? No? I don't know, right? That'd be quite the thing, right? If televangelist Kent Hovind gets a Ferrari. So I was like, man, that'd give him some publicity. But yeah, so I've been, the comments have been kind of interesting, and some of the debates are kind of, they're kind of Joe Biden-ish or Kamala Harris-ish. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, Kent Hovind's got a booger in his ear. It's like we all have boogers in our ear or nose. What am I saying, ear? It's too early in the morning. Or like, Kent Hovind wears the same kind of shirt every day. It's a Hawaiian shirt, like, or like, one that I seen for sure. Like, I stopped by at Dinosaur Adventureland the other day, thought I'd spend the night and go for a swim in the morning, and it was like Whacking Atheist Wednesday, and it was Emma Throne, Kent Hovind. I can't believe he even responds to some of her just pathetic stuff. It's like she said there's contradictions in the Bible, and she brought up, he said touch me, and then he said don't touch me. Well, and that's a contradiction. It's like sometimes I say, hey, don't touch the car, and then sometimes I say, we're not even going to start it, push it out of the trailer with your hands, touch it. I mean, like, are you guys just like fourth graders or what? Like, freaking, like, get me some entertainment, get me some stuff to think about, like, if someone could get through to Emma Throne, or if you're watching, please, like, makes me want to go back to watching Ferrari Challenge and the live streams. And by the way, I missed yesterday's. I got to kind of, they had some nice crashes. I mean, some, God forbid, right? We don't want anyone wrecked, but, when they do, it's kind of entertaining. So I've seen that in some of the highlights. So yeah, obviously I'm a big fan of like going fast and racing and, stuff that, manly stuff, right? So, I'll tell you guys right off the bat, some of you, I've watched some of the four-way calls or something, chats with the atheists on the several channels, And we need to get some better lighting back there because that's where all the good stuff is. This, yeah. So some of you all are, fairly intelligent beings. I was like, wow, these are some smart individuals. I'm not saying I agree with everything you say. I'm not even saying I agree with everything Kent says. And just so you all know kind of my background, and like my dad's Russian, mom's Ukrainian. I was born in a country called Moldova, that no one knows where it is. And but basically a brief history of Moldova is where there's a YouTube video made by Baldwin Bankrupt. Have a look at it about Moldova. It says, the video is called "This is the Place No One Wants to Travel to and Why." So yeah, someone robbed 10% of its economy. It only had $10 billion economy. Someone robbed $1 billion, and Baldwin Bankrupt kind of gets into some of the corruption that has happened there, and it's really, really poor and robbed, and a lot of hot European girls. So yeah, that's basically where I came from and came to the States. And when I was going to private school, there was this bully, and he kind of resembles Kent, and his dad too. And they kind of ripped me off. I thought I had a bad clutch in the car. It ended up being a bad ground wire, and I sold it to them for just $100. It was a Honda Accord. And so then they fixed it and drove it, and I found out what the real repair was needed. 16 years old, wasn't that smart. But, so like Kent Hovind's got that same American, just kind of like, he when you go to Russian church, the youth there, they have a certain respect for everything. And even, not even in church, they're all wearing their black leather, they're all driving their exotic, not exotic, but like BMW, Mercedes. I mean, even yesterday, I was at this Ukrainian church, and I seen the guy in front of me had BMW key on his keychain, and then he had his envelope for tithing all organized. Just the most European people have the most respect. And I'm not saying Kent doesn't have respect, but he just has that part of that element of just American Southern pride that kind of like, you're like, buddy, just show us the good stuff, So, but that's personal, right? That's personal. And so why do we get into that? Like, I have personal things. I judge everyone. I don't, I even told my wife, I said, you got to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad 3 times before our wedding. You need to read that, babe. That's your homework, And a week before the wedding, I asked her, I said, how many times did you read that book? She said, 1.5. I said, okay, I'll be there. I'll be at the wedding. So if you guys want to make friends with me, you got to read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. No questions. You're in America or wherever you are, the American dream works for you. And start with the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't, it's been around for more than 20 years. And if you could learn anything from me, start with that book, please. We could be friends and make connections, even if you're the most vicious, softest, nicest, evilest, whatever, Emma Throne, atheist, I don't know, Grayson, smart aleck. That was great. I love your art, man. I love where's that picture? I think I got it somewhere. It said, peace and love, y'all, with the rainbow. I mean, that was just delicious, That's cool. That's really cool, but you gotta read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You gotta understand the mentality of most of the people on the planet and capitalism. And where I came from, Soviet Russia, it was really not good. Not good. And Kent has, why Kent resonates? Why Kent resonates with a lot of Slavs like me? Yeah, there's that picture. Peace and love. I mean, that was great. Great. We should make that in a t-shirt. I mean, Dinosaur Adventureland. I mean, right? I mean, doesn't quite represent Dinosaur Adventureland. It's more of a off-road Jeep place for me. And a place to see your old pal, and maybe we could all go hang out there sometime and have a good discussion, and don't just leave it all to Kent. because I like great ideas. And I think this is what it's all about. This is why we meet on the internet. We're trying to find a good idea. Learn something from somebody maybe. So yeah, you gotta like Kent for at least his phrase, eat the meat and spit out the bones, right? There's not everything to like about Ferrari. I mean, this week or this month, yeah, since Jaguar came out with their ads, probably everything, But there's some things you're like, actually, I'm not sure. I really do like Ferrari. There's just being able to fix one. That goes with all modern cars. Having challenges in repairing them, right? So, what I wanted to say in this video, what sticks out the most, and someone said go to Standing for Truth channel, right? I just read this comment. This is kind of why I jumped out of bed. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should make a video about this, even though it's starting to get cold here in this trailer. You sound smart, and I'd like to see you debate Planet Peterson and Grayson Hawk. Just contact Standing for Truth channel. Okay, I'll try to look up Standing for Truth channel. I'm not sure how to make it all work, and if I don't do it, just send me a message on the WhatsApp or the Instagram. Surge the Car Haulers. My Instagram WhatsApp is +612-850-9948. So maybe I am kind of smart. I don't know. Thanks for the comment. What's your username? Everglide15. So see, the thing that got me on Kent. Okay, if you didn't see my video from when I visited Dinosaur Adventureland and I told Kent. So I grew up in a rough childhood. Parents divorced, going through different schools, didn't really, I'd backtalk to teachers a little bit, and that's a element that Kent has that you all probably secretly respect, because just like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he said something to his teacher that his rich dad told him, and the teacher said, like, that's not true. And then like the teacher said, oh, you got to get good grades to have a good job. And he says, no, you need to have a good job. You know what I mean? Like, my dream, this is my dream. Touch other guys' Ferraris. I had a goal with a guy. I moved 70 of his cars. There were Ferraris and Porsches. I was like, man, I just want to play tennis with this guy. And you know what? I reached that 4 years later. I hauled probably 100 more cars for the guy. And boom, we were at one of his houses, and I said, you got a tennis court there. You got a deal on the house. Thanks for showing me the house and letting me stay in the guest house of it. Do you got tennis rackets and a ball? He's like, yeah. I was like, 7 o'clock? Can I call you? I know you want me to stay for breakfast, but can we hit a couple balls? And we did that. Boom. I got that checked off my list. I played tennis with a millionaire that was my client. And the guy still calls me for more work and stuff and wants to develop friendship. But all I wanted from him personally was just to play tennis. And so I'm big into goals. And telling teachers, pointing out with love and respect to a teacher. It's hard work, teenage students. And I didn't know how to bring this up, but I'm not saying go like Robert Kiyosaki did in Rich Dad, Poor Dad and say, no, you need to have a job. I'm not saying be so, flat out like that, but sometimes teachers are incorrect, like I heard a millionaire guy talk to a billionaire guy at a racetrack and saying, and the billionaire was like, dude, you got my car tuned incorrectly. And you know what the guys kept repeating and what this guy said, what they heard him say? He said, I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's incorrect. I've been tuning race cars for 40 years, and that car is tuned right. It's going to be, the suspension's right for the corners. And so that's how you say that to someone who you respect a lot. You say, I'm not saying you're wrong. So you take the personal stuff out of it. But that is incorrect. That car is tuned right. It's probably something else. I don't know. Moisture on the track, sand on the, whatever. Figure it out. But so, and that's where Ken kind of gets his kicks. I noticed, you know, he gets his kicks. He's like, hey, you know, I know you're an authority, but this is wrong. And that's why he's gained so much momentum, because he resonates with other people that, like me, when I was in 10th grade, I just learned how to drive. It must have been 10th grade. Must have been 16, because I think I was driving already. And because I knew I was going to my job. And when I went to my job at Target, you know, department store, I just remember when I was at Target, I was copying those videotapes while they're at home, Kent Hovind videotapes, and I handed some to this teacher that told us the first words ever spoken must have been hubba hubba from a caveman. And I was like, I dropped my pen. I was like, do we write this? Do we write this hubba hubba in our notebook? Is this going to be a test question? And at that point, I started questioning everything she was teaching. Now, I'm just a regular Baptist church boy, you know, that heard the song Noah's Arky, Arky, and whatever, 2 by 2 and stuff. But I had a messed up family, you know, kind of like the comedian Christopher Titus, you know. Dad slaps you upside the head for not holding a flashlight correctly, you know. You know, like back in the day when we didn't have LED lights, you know, when you're like shining the light and Dad's trying to wrench the wrench and your hand gets tired and you shine down lower, boom, you get slapped on the head. Hold it up right, son. Gotta finish this up, you know? I mean, most of you, young, you know, if you're in your 20s, most of you haven't experienced that because, you know, LED lights have been around for 20 years now and getting better and better and kind of annoying, you know, but, yeah, so parents divorced, going to school, back and forth, different schools, you know, and, you know, one school taught all the mathematics, geometry, and then next year I go to another school, they teach the same stuff and the same exact stuff, same textbook, and I just blow through it. Next school I go to, because back with living dad, back living with mom, you know, custody issues, stupid system, right, to be in a divorced family as a child. So then, boom, it's Algebra 2. Well, I didn't even do Algebra 1 yet. And boom, I failed. And then I was like, you know what? I don't really care about school, you know? And I mean, I tried, you know, but if you're going to force me to do Algebra 2 when I haven't done 1 and I did 2 years of the same geometry, then it's kind of tough, you know? And thank God for auto mechanics class, because that's where I really kind of was able to keep up. And the teacher said, hey, Serge, you're one of my best students. And I was like, you know, I think I'm not going to drop out of school because of auto shop class. And, you know, if you know Christopher Titus and kind of how he grew up, you know, just that's what I resonate with. You know, so here I am trying to do good in school, and I'm told hubba hubba. And I was like, you know, this is kind of weird. You know, this is like new Jaguar electric car, like weird, like when Kamala Harris says, how dare you say Merry Christmas, and then next thing you know, Merry Christmas, Kamala Harris. I was like, what in the world? You know, like what is it? You know, I already have these problems at home, right? Mr. Mom and Mommy Dad, and like, you know, in school, why can't you show us something we can believe in? You know, telling us hubba hubba was the first word spoken. I was like, come on, you got to do better than that. I mean, the Soviet Russian communist country my dad brought us from to the American dream, United States, probably teaches that. I mean, come on, teacher. So later that year, I'm still in the same class. I come home and I seen this video cassette VHS tape on the living room table. The living room coffee table, and says dinosaurs in the Bible. And I thought, what a weird mix of words together. I never seen such a phrase together. Dinosaurs together with the Bible. And I was like, I got to steal the TV from my sister's room. This was the only TV in the house at the time, and watch it. And so I couldn't stop the tape. I was like, wow, this gave me some answers. I wasn't bold enough to say to my teacher, like, hey, I learned this from a Kent Hovind video, and maybe it wasn't hubba hubba. Maybe it was a man that could walk, talk, and get married all on the first day of his life, which sounds crazy, I know. And then people get saved on an ark because everyone else did evil stuff, and the creator said, down the toilet you go, and it sounds crazy. It is crazy. It is. But you know what's crazier? An amoeba saying, hey, I found another hot, sexy amoeba that I had to get her phone number and go out to the movies and have caramel popcorn with her. So here we are billions of years later talking about it today, and who I'm attracted to, and both are crazy ideologies, ideas. I'm starting to shake now because it's kind of cold in the trailer. But let's knock this video out. So I was like, I wasn't even bold enough to say that to my teacher, but I knew that there were other answers. So I was like, okay, I'm a teenager and I don't need to, there's some other options to think about there. Teacher may be wrong here, and I could, in my mind, I could be proud of something. You know what I mean? And not like I said before, rich dad, poor dad, like in the face saying, hey, teacher, you're wrong. But like knowing something that I thought I could stand for, and I still stand for today. These cars didn't make themselves. They didn't evolve. You know what I mean? Like they didn't, it was a guy that wanted to go fast. He wanted to use the same science that controls us, right? That we were made by, right? And I think it was by a creator that followed the same scientific rules, that made the same scientific rules that we got to use, to make stuff go fast. Heat, extreme temperatures, extreme cold, not good. Extreme heat for this car, not good. You want a warm operating temperature, for this thing to work well. Also other things, like extreme lift, no, not good. You want some downforce. That's why it's got a giant wing, inverted, of an airplane, pushing down, and it's got a diffuser sucking it down. Simple scientific things, right? No, it didn't have sex with a goat or a chicken. It's a prancing horse. It's always been a prancing horse, and it'll stay a prancing horse. So, anyways, where am I going with this? That's why I think Kent had his resonance with me and others like me, and that's why he's been you look at his channel, you're like, gee, 25,000 subscribers, but he gets like way more views than I do per video. And I was like, dang, I got 200,000 subscribers. But I bust out a lot of videos, a lot of boring stuff. Not everyone wants to see cars. The car community hasn't discovered this channel yet, so I'm just mixing my career and my life. I just bust out everything. Which, by the way, some of you atheists out there hiding your face with an avatar thing, makes you totally look like an AI robot channel. Like if you would show your face, show a little bit about what you do, you'd have a little bit more credibility. But instead of just hiding your face and pointing and saying, hey, Kent's got a booger out his nose, that's not much of a debate point. And which brings me to, when I was at Dinosaur Adventureland and Kent gave me this thing, and he kept repeating, he's like, the Bible says we were created by Adam, and then there was this flood. He always says flood. And I was like, Kent, I think that's the only thing you have to step off, push off against. His whole career, his whole point is from this thing, the worldwide flood of Noah, which people argue never happened. The whole world wasn't flooded, and others even, those some that believe in evolution say there were crazy floods that happened. So this is it. This is what that guy gave his whole life to, basically promoting, hey, things look old. A car in a flood looks old. It works there. The science works there too. You go to the car auction. Right now we bid on a Bentley GT Coupe, $300,000 price, $45,000 sale price, flooded. Will we get it running? I don't know. But flood even makes Bentleys look old. So, yeah. So, I mean, maybe we should do a video with that Bentley, but I don't know. We got a couple other car videos I'm excited to talk about that are in the works. But anyways, the flood is pretty much the only thing worth discussion, because if there was no flood, that would kind of give Kent nothing to push off of. And since there is, that's what he built his whole mission on, his whole ministry, his whole life purpose, to say, hey, there was a flood and some things happened. People lived less years. This is an age chart, so written down history, when history was first written down. The first guy that lived, Adam, it says here he lived 130 years and then had a son, and then went down the ages, and the guy named Noah lived 500 years, and then he lived 502 years, then he had a son, Shem, and Shem lived 100 years, and those 100 years, they built an ark. You all seen the movie with the arks, right? Man, I'm getting shivering. So anyways, he built the ark, 100 years, and then the flood happened, and then boom, people lived less. It goes all the way down to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. That's where Jews and Muslims come from. I show this to Jewish and Muslim clients of mine. I deliver cars, so I was like, hey, does this make sense to you? They're like, absolutely. All our ancient scripts line up with this. And I was like, well, gee. Maybe Kent has a point with the flood. And, another thing, you all probably won't like this if you didn't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but he talks about the phrase that I coined the most, be, do, have, which comes from Genesis, which comes from the Bible. Be, do, have, it's how you get your goals. You decide who you want to be, you take those actions, and you have the result. That's how you get your goals. That's how you get something like this, something nice. That's how you achieve stuff. I don't know, like to me, evolution is kind of just like depressing. Even if all this faith stuff is incorrect, it still works to get you rich and you have a good life and have fun. Like be, do, have, that came from Genesis. God told Adam how to be, what to do. Don't do the one thing, eat the pomegranate off the tree, and then you'll have everything. You'll have dominion over all the animals. But then came along the woman and said, that's not enough. Had to throw that in there. The woman joke. So be, do, have is how you get anything you want. Even a dream career like I got for myself. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad 20 years ago. And where did Rich Dad Poor Dad get that? From Genesis. So my last thought I want to put, I'm not sure if I should say the guy's name. I'll just say it backwards, because the guy's super banned, But for those that believe that we are just mass, that we are just biological chemicals in our brains, the smartest people in the government that work in the most restricted areas, right? AIC, backwards, right? And the guy's name, look him up. He was like shadow banned, excluded, basically what the car community is doing to Jaguar right now. This is what the government did to him. His, Lazar Robert. Look up the guy. He said, someone asked him in his most you know, he's an alien UFO guy, right? You know, help reverse engineer Area 51 stuff, you know. Maybe, you know, he was one of the top guys there. S4. I probably shouldn't have said all this stuff. This will probably ban the video, but fascinating guy that in his 20s made his Honda jet powered, you know. So then the government's like, hey, you're working with us. You're a smart child. You know, we're going to teach you how to reverse engineer flying saucers, and you're going to help us. And he's got some interesting videos and Joe Rogan interview, and watch all that stuff. And even the non-UFO stuff. By the way, UFO, you know, those guys stole the UFO, the atheists, the non-Christians, they stole that from God. Guess what? You know, I got this church, this guy saying, hey, maybe God's an alien. Maybe he put us here. Exactly what the Christian faith is all about. Someone put us here, spiritual beings, for us to have this human experience, to have fun on this planet. Exactly what the Christian faith is all about. Look up the band Newsboys. First CD I ever had was from Newsboys. They got a song called Take Me to Your Leader, and they play off of this idea, you know. So it's this alien, this we were put here by someone not from here, is something that was stolen by the world from God, from Christianity, from the faith. So we are aliens. We are not of this world. We are intellectual beings put here by someone intellectual and smart to have a human experience. And I believe, for me, it's hanging out with cool cars like this one. So anyways, back to what that guy said. He was asked the question, what do you know from your classified documents, blah, 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 about faith? I know you studied a lot about faith in the government, classified, declassified stuff. And he was kind of like, why did you ask me that? You know, he studied a lot. And he gathered his thoughts, and he said, it says that we are containers. What? Containers? We're containers? So this 3D body is just a container to hold something that's fourth dimension, right? Kind of like this car. It's a container to demonstrate the passion, the fun stuff of life, which is women and going fast, which a wild being named God created, you know, for us to go fast and enjoy women. Right? I mean, think about that. You know, all the feelings you have toward a hot, sexy girl. Someone made that. Was it evolution? Was it amoeba? You know, or it was a wild alien being, someone else that put us here. The creator that said, hey, you're going to have these feelings toward a girl that you'll see in high school, and a girl you'll see at church, and a girl you'll see somewhere else. Sometimes you should go for those feelings because I put those in there for you. You know, I created her for you. Just like the movie The Matrix, you know? Like, did you like that girl in the red dress? I made her for you. You know? So if the government says that we are containers to hold spiritual stuff, that's what I'd like to leave my video with. Let me know about that. Most of you that don't believe in any kind of spiritualness, spiritual being. You know, I mean, is this just a badge? Is this just a badge? Or is this really a prancing horse that represents some spiritual essence? You know, is that just a badge? You know, it represents humanity as we are, you know? Boys, we're supposed to play with cars, not with dolls. That's what this badge represents. And hot chicks, too. You gotta marry them. Oh, my goodness. I guess I'm not gonna sit on my box with straps anymore. So, you know, like, let's hang out by the diffuser. Look at that. It's like a foot long. Makes the car get sucked to the ground. Learn how diffusers work. There's some science in that. and go visit Kent Hovind's place and try the leap of faith swing. That was pretty cool. So yeah, maybe some of you could find out what more about the government says that we are. I mean, I like to study all kinds of interesting stuff, as you know by now, right? I mentioned some interesting stuff in this video. Maybe some of you know some top secret government spiritual stuff about faith, religion, that government agencies acknowledge. Smart people working in high up places, secret stuff acknowledge. My dad and my grandpa, they'd be jailed, ticketed, fined, arrested for having a Christian songbook, for having anything that talks about the idea of God. God forbid they'd be caught with a Bible back in the day. That's why we came to the United States. We came here on a religious freedom visa. So when Kent says that evolution is the foundation for communism, he's absolutely correct in that observation. I'm living proof of that. My dad's living proof of that. That's why he was like, oh, we got to get away to America. And when my dad seen a giant mega church here, he was like, wow, this is for real? You could go to a mega church and 1,000 people singing songs, 1,000 people singing Noah's Ark songs. By the way, there's rappers that rapped about Noah's Ark song. I'll put the clip in the description, the link to the clip in the description below in the Down Under section. Have a look at that. There's a reason why people think about Noah's Ark and the worldwide flood in such a high way. It's a big thing in our history. In our history of our planet. Here's the chart again. So, if this thing didn't happen, maybe Kent would have been a car hauler, but it did, and that's why he dedicated his life to show it. And I'm not saying that I like Kent for wearing his Hawaiian shirts. I mean, he may look good in them. He may not look like the best televangelist preacher in those Hawaiian shirts. But he's got this. He's got a point you should consider, and that's this. The worldwide flood made things look old, made the planet look old, made the Wild West look old like it is. Just like, God forbid, a car gets flooded again. So, if you want to talk more about this kind of stuff, I know a lot of you guys are smart, but you will have my respect only if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Start with that and then reach out to me for a friendship online, because I just don't like to talk to people that want me to buy them a lunch. Go haul your own car, make yourself, you know what I mean? Like, especially in this day and age, you got to understand how money, the basics of money. Read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I only want to be friends with those that want to be wealthy, that are wealthy. We all are wealthy. Kent is wealthy, even though he says stuff like, oh, I don't have enough money. No. You're in America, okay? You're in America. You're not going to be poor, okay? Unless you do drugs, okay? So never do drugs. Seen that video the other day? The girl's nose had to be rebuilt because she did too much cocaine and stuff, and she said she lost all her sensitivity in her nose. I mean, can't smell the beautiful exhaust of a race car anymore. Don't do drugs. That was, I don't know how I got on that video, but I'm just scrolling through. I think we got a lot of our thoughts, but those of you that are communist minded, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I also like to add, I only want to be kind of, I'll chat with Grayson and those guys. I'll be more inclined to chat with you guys if you guys like to drive stick shift cars and you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you don't, if you beat yourself with the chest and say, I like the new Jaguar and the electric automatic cars, I don't know if we could have a good discussion. You know, I think that's where our paths, that's where we may disconnect. So hopefully you like stick shift cars and you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then we'll have a discussion. I'll be happy to talk about anything in detail, but start with those. That's I tell everybody what the children told me in school. You know, they called me Sir Gay, so gay, Sir Gay a lot, gay Sir. You know, and I was like, okay, great. And then they'd say, "Commie, go back to Russia." You know, and I was like, you know, if you don't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, you're a commie and you need to go back to Russia for more training. You know, and see, you know, they wouldn't allow this type of stuff. They'd arrest you for this type of stuff. You know, growing up where my dad saved us from. So there's ideology here. It definitely is. Definitely is. So with all that said, are there any evolutionists out there that believe in the Big Bang, that believe in a young Earth evolution? Is that possible? How about a flood? Also, are there evolutionists out there that read and like Rich Dad Poor Dad? I want to hear from you. Comment below. I'll even send you a few shares of stock in my company, TCH, the Car Hauler Company. If you write to me on the Instagram and add me and send me a message and tell me the name of your family limited partnership or your personal name that you will never change, and I'll send you the certificate. If you give me the name and the address and you say Serge, you write in the message saying, Serge, I'm a evolutionist, I seen your video, I want some stock, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I'd like to be your friend and business partner, and let's take over the world together, hauling one Ferrari at a time, or two, or, you know, a whole trailer full. Got a 296 back there too, we got to deliver. So anyways, it's been an early morning. I got to call the wife, wake her up, say good morning. Love your faces, love your comments. It has been a bright couple weeks reading all of Kent Hovind's friends' comments. So maybe we should all like just meet up at Kent's place and just, you know, Kent's not like, you know, he does have this, when we go on the real tour, right? He has this, he does like motors and stuff. He's like, you guys want to do the grandma tour? He's like, you guys want to do the real tour, right? And before you could say yeah, he's like, you know, off-roading. Kent likes to drive, yeah, doesn't he? Doesn't he? You do, Kent, right? So maybe we could all go there, and sometimes, you know, I like to build common ground. You know what I mean? You know, the stuff that children said to me in school, and, you know, try to hurt my feelings and stuff. Well, I don't know where they are now, but I applied the Tony Robbins generator thing in my mind, and here I am doing my dream career, working with real nice, successful people, hauling their stuff, and sometimes going to cool events and showing it on YouTube, and married to a beautiful Russian girl. So yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad worked for me. It could work for you too, and let's discuss. How did those ideas, how did Be Do Have evolve? If it didn't come from Genesis, if it didn't come from God, the Almighty, a creator, if it didn't come from Genesis, where did the idea of Be Do Have come from, if it evolved? I want to know everything about Be Do Have. I want to know how to write goals down, write dreams down, and accomplish them. I'm obsessed with that. And you should be too. Because it worked for me. to get what I want here and now in this life. You know, not, I know some preachers, they preach later in life, afterlife and stuff. I believe God wants you to do good here and now, and you to be good for yourself, your family, here and now too. There's certain rules you could follow, and you'll get good results here in life. You know, on your way to heaven. You know. Anyways, this is a great long video. I hope you guys. Nice to connect with you all. Nice to connect. Thanks for the comments.